The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network.
From the National Wrestling Hall of Fame, this is Legends. I'm Jason Bryant. Prepare for a journey through wrestling's past, present, and future, as we'll hear the great stories of wrestling and success from the true legends of the sport here on Hall of Fame Legends. He packed more wrestling success into 5 years than most athletes manage in a lifetime of competition. Keith Young spent the next 3 decades returning those rewards to the sport with full interest. His Algona High School team didn't offer wrestling until his senior year, and when he joined the University of Northern Iowa, you'd hardly expect a youngster of such limited experience to fill the shoes of one of wrestling's all-time greats, Bill Cole. But fill them he did, winning 6 national championships in 3 seasons. Undefeated in collegiate competition, he was the NCAA champion at 145 pounds in 1949, 50, and 51, leading the Panthers of Coach Dave McCuskey to the team title during his junior year. Young's 3 collegiate crowns matched Cole's total as Northern Iowa reigned supreme in the welterweight division 6 years in a row. The same 3 years, Young was national AAU champ, outstanding wrestler 1950, and each year the Panthers captured the AAU team trophy. Rather than pursue postgraduate competition, Young turned immediately to high school coaching. In 3 years at Blue Earth, Minnesota, he produced a state team champion. He then returned to Iowa, coaching a year at Osage before taking the reins in 1955 at Cedar Falls. There, he produced more than 200 dual meet victories, 2 state champion teams, 2 runners-up, and a host of individual winners. Far more important, however, was his influence on the lives of young men as a teaching example of integrity and dedication. He also served the sport of wrestling for many years as one of its most widely respected referees, officiating at the high school and collegiate levels all the way to the NCAA and NAIA championships. In recognition of his outstanding achievements as a champion wrestler and his long years of service to the sport as a teacher and leader of young athletes, Keith Fay Young is honored as a distinguished member of the National Wrestling Hall of Fame class of 1979.
It's real pleasure to me to be here, along with all you other people, to the induction of all these people into the Hall of Fame. And I want you to know that Doug Blueball used to bulldoze a bunch of our guys around, along with a lot of these other fellas that are here. Now you will hear about Keith Young from Bob. You probably already heard and read a lot about him. So you know all the important things he did. Now I'll tell you some of the other things. You'll hear, if you haven't already, that Keith only had 1 year of high school wrestling. Well, they kind of passed that off as, a little bit of nothing or something. But he wrestled under a fellow by the name of Champ Martin, who is one of the fine coaches in the United States and was one of the fine wrestlers from UNI. The reason we call him Champ, he went overtime period with a 2-time national champion in that guy's backyard. And it's pretty hard to beat those guys when you get in that position. But he did a whale of a job, and we just named him Champ anyway. So he's carried that name ever since. Keith wrestled in the district tournament in Iowa, and he also went overtime period with the fellow who won it, and I refereed it. Now, I didn't think that Keith would ever come to Northern Iowa because of the fact that I gave the decision to the other guy. Now, other people said that I gave the decision to the other guy because I didn't want Young to get in the state championship and let these other guys look at him. So you can make up your own mind about that. But fact that he had this great coaching and had so much ability was real important as far as that first year was concerned. The guy that he went overtime period with won the state, by the way. So then he came in and he wasn't eligible the first year. But he worked out mainly with Bill Cole. And he was still alive at the end of the season. So you know he's pretty tough. Then he had two other Bills, Bill Nelson and Bill Smith. They used to get at him once in a while, and once even Owlets got to him. And then he had the bushwhacker down below, and the German Lehman and Russ Bush. They were national champions, so he worked out with about 4 or 5 national champions that first year. And then, lo and behold, the second year he had Wick to battle. So you can understand that about all I had to do was keeping these guys from hurting him. And he came along so fast that at the end of the first year, he wrestled, that was 1948, he wrestled in the Olympic tryouts, and he was right up at the top, along with Owlets. Neither one of them quite made it, but they were up the top, and that's pretty good for a freshman. And so then the other 4 years, he had these same guys to work out with, except Cole, and he went down a little bit after that first year, but he won 3 national championships, you will hear, and all those other things. So I need not say any more about him. I was just happy to be his coach. And I'm happy to be here with all you people again, and hope to be back sometime. See you later.
Wrestling is a fraternity. Where else could you step on the mat, referee for a team, an opposing coach, and compete with them the next week or vice versa? I know of no other sport that happens. And of course, if it was Bill Cole, he wouldn't let me referee there anyway, but it really is a fraternity, and I think this is an example of it, of how closely knit we are at whatever level, whether we're at the high school level or collegiate level or the Olympic level. As Doug says, I think whatever any of us are is a result of all the other people that have had something to do with our lives, and that's sure the case in my own life. I'm here because of God. I'm here because of my mother. Would you please stand, Fern Young? As Max said, I had a pretty fair country coach that one year at Algona High School. Would Champ Martin and his wife Dottie please stand? I've never had an Okie on my side, but I'd like to claim Champ's son, Paul, and his wife. Would you please stand? As I said some time ago, it's just getting positive people around you is all you need to do. And of course, I was fortunate in having positive people around me most of my life. There's some other people here. I'd like to introduce them. My father-in-law and my mother-in-law, Vern and Esther Neestun. My oldest son, Scott. And of course, the one that put up with all of this all these years, really was with us wherever we went in wrestling and goes with me quite a bit whenever I referee. Be sure I get home safely. My good wife, Marilyn, would you please stand? And of course, as Cole says, the whip's still standing up here. He keeps coming back. Joe McDaniel mentioned his college coach as having, and it's very hard to put your fingers on what it is that these men have. But there's something about it, as Joe mentioned, and this is the way Mac was, Joe. You know, whenever anybody doubted at a given moment when he was going to go on the mat or in the locker room before, in about 30 seconds there was no doubt, because he had you talked into the fact that you were going to whip the guy. It didn't matter if he was first, second, third, or if you'd never heard of him before. You know, you were just going to get the job done. And there's an awful lot of psychology and probably more in wrestling. Maybe there is some of the other sports, but he sure used it. And it was that positive approach, I think, that helped us with a lot of hard work and a little whip snapping, a little running, a few things like that. Then, of course, there were people in the room, as Mac said, Bill Cole, and I suppose of all those fellows that I had the opportunity to work with, I would say that he was the one that probably helped me the most as an individual. You know, he was a 3-time national champion, and he was the inventor of the slam, I think, and the rule changed as a result. But there's a lot of scar tissue back here before they changed the rules. And I think if I had to give any one wrestler a lot of credit, because I happened to spend more time with him that freshman year in the wrestling room, and it was really very simple. You just found somebody that good, and you didn't quit. You know, I guess I wasn't smart enough to quit. I just stayed in there and worked and learned, and he taught me quite a bit as an individual. But then there were other people in there, some of whom are already in this hall. Jerm Lehman, Bill Smith, and there's going to be some more, I think. Bill Nelson and Leroy Allitz and a lot of other people that were on our team at that time. But that's the result, I think, of you know, having those kinds of people around you, working with you, and giving themselves and their time. And I think that's why I went right out into high school coaching and attempted to do that same thing, and to share and give my time to those young fellows that I worked with. And I think it's just kept me close to the sport, and the officiating has surely kept me closer to the sport, because now I got to get on the mat and stay right in there with them. And I tell you, it's just been tremendous. Like Chuck Patton over here, the coach of the University of Northern Iowa. Would you please stand, Chuck? Like Chuck says, it's one of those things that it's bad they pay us to do what we love to do. But of course, don't say anything to anybody back in Iowa about that. But I think it's true. You know, it's just been a tremendous experience working with young people. And anything that we can give them, we're sure happy to give them. I'm real proud to be here, and I express my appreciation to the governing board and the Hall of Fame people. It's been tremendous, and we'll sure enjoy coming back in another year. Thank you very much.
Legends is presented by the National Wrestling Hall of Fame and produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. If you want to hear more from wrestling's legends, contribute to this ongoing project at halloffamenelegends.org/contribute. One-time and small monthly donation options are available. We hope you've enjoyed this look into wrestling history. This has been Legends. I'm Jason Bryant.